All right, my name's Mitch. I'm originally from Texas. Oh, many reasons. I guess the biggest one right now is that it pisses me off that pretty much in order to be a political candidate in the U.S., it's like a Jesus off. Who has the biggest thing for Jesus?
Welcome to the Infidel, the news for those of us who have supposedly chosen hell over heaven, the news for the damned. US Catholic bishops discuss sex abuse. The Council of Catholic Bishops is one of the most well-funded and influential lobby groups in the United States. It recently flexed its muscles and was able to change President Obama's position regarding the coverage of contraceptives for employees of religious organizations. However, a series of sex abuse scandals have rocked and weakened the organization over the last decade. One such case involves a number of Boston priests and how their actions were covered up by Bernard Francis Law, Cardinal and Archbishop of Boston. Although this case surfaced 10 years ago, the Council of Catholic Bishops is still very much in damage control mode to this day. Last week, the Council's yearly meeting ended in Dallas, and sex abuse was very much on the agenda. Is there anything more that the Council can do to regain trust of the community? What else can be done to restore the Church's credibility? Cardinal Timothy Dolan of New York City said, "We just got to make sure that we take every human step possible to make sure that it doesn't happen, and that if it does, there are clear-cut, scrupulous things that must be done by the Church." One problem identified at the meeting was the absence of rules to punish bishops that cover up instances of sexual abuse. Another one is the lack of communication with the public, in particular to convey the work that had been accomplished to rectify the situation. The Vatican is trying to renew ties with a splinter group. Pope John XXII opened the Second Vatican Council, better known as Vatican II, on October 11, 1962. A little more than 2 years later, the Church representatives from all around the world finally ended their discussions. This time it was under the role of Pope Paul VI. The Council's decisions were meant to bring the Roman Catholic Church into the 20th century. Nuns were no longer expected to travel in pairs or wear enormous black frocks. Masses were not supposed to be celebrated in Latin anymore, but more importantly, there was also the acceptance of ecumenism and the rejection of anti-Semitism. Although Vatican II had the support of the Pope and the vast majority of the Church's bishops, archbishops and cardinals, there was still dissension, and this disenchantment culminated in 1988 with the creation of a splinter group that called itself the Society of St. Pius X. The breaking point was reached when the SSPX's spiritual leader, Archbishop Marcel Lefebvre, ordained 4 bishops without the Pope's consent. Upon his ascension to the Holy See in 2005, Pope Gregory tried in various ways to bring back the SSPX into the fold. For example, he lifted the excommunication against the 4 traditionalist bishops in 2009. Jewish groups throughout the world were particularly outraged by this action because one of the 4 bishops, Richard Williamson, openly denies the Holocaust. But doctrinal talks have continued between the SSPX and the Vatican, and last week Cardinal William Levada made an offer on behalf of the Pope. The SSPX could operate under the same special status as the one enjoyed by Opus Dei. According to the Vatican spokesman Reverend Federico Lombardi, the ball is now in the SSPX's court. No, it wasn't Halley's Comet, but it was a very rare event indeed. According to Hillel Neuer, UN Watch Executive Director, the General Assembly of the United Nations adopts more resolutions criticizing Israel than on the rest of the world combined. That is why he was so surprised when the Secretariat of UNESCO's World Heritage Committee rejected a bid by the Palestinian Authority to use an emergency procedure and register Bethlehem's Church of the Nativity not only as the World Heritage Site, but under the country name Palestine. The Church of the Nativity is among 36 sites that are awaiting the distinction of being accepted as part of the World Heritage. Located on occupied territory, Israel opposes listing the church as a Palestinian location until the present conflict is finally brought to an end and an actual country is eventually created. As for the Palestinians, they claim that the combined effects of consequences of the Israeli occupation and the lack of scientific and technical measures for restoring and preserving their property are creating an emergency situation that should be addressed by an emergency measure.
Atheist Roundtable, a gathering place for rational people.
Funny pictures and videos.
Profound atheist quotes.
The religious going crazy.
The latest news.
World domination.
Casual discussions.
Baby eating.
The ultimate forum for a lively dialogue. Come join the fun at atheistroundtable.com.